I'm Larry Weiss, and I'm here with Luke Clayton and Jeff Rice, two very, very dear friends. The three of us now form a Sportsman's Life. We appreciate you being with us. I appreciate being with these two guys right here. So you guys know what's on tap for today, for today's show?
I don't have a clue.
I know we're going to have a lot of fun. It doesn't really matter. I mean, what we plan, we probably won't do anyway. We'll do something else, but it's going to be fun.
We always have a good time.
Stay tuned.
Hello everybody, welcome to the show. Luke Clayton, Jeff Rice, glad to have you here. We're here to talk tonight a little bit about Sightmark Photon RT, Photon XT.
XT, that's exactly right.
Exactly, so this is digital night vision, folks, that we have set up on our weapons here. We're going to be hunting hogs this evening, and we're going to sneak out there and see if we can't make something happen.
We're going to do it, Jeff. And you know, this show, folks, is about hunting at night. Hogs are not entirely nocturnal. Actually, it's still daylight now, and we left a feeder over there with some hogs coming into it just a minute ago. So, but by and large, with much pressure, hogs are nocturnal, and I think most of you listening know that. Now, there's a lot of ways to hunt hogs, Jeff, at night. Jeff, tell us how this works for a guy like you and I, a digital, and this is a Photon XT, a Photon RT. This one will shoot you a hog at night for about $500, and I've had this thing for 2 or 3 years. Works as good as the day. Now yours is the RT, right?
Right. Really the difference between these two is this one has the ability to record. So at night, if I'm hunting, or my wife's hunting, or my dad's hunting using this gun, you know, we can record the actual hunt. And what's really neat is that there's an app that you can connect your scope to your phone, your smartphone, and I can actually sit there and watch. As a matter of fact, my father shot a hog last week out here, and he's 80 and has a little hard time getting on the hog, but I was able to walk him and talk him through where the crosshairs needed to be, which is really handy.
You were looking at it on your
on my phone, and I could see exactly what he was looking at. What was really cool is I can hit the record button from my cell phone and start the recorder on here. I can adjust the IR from my phone.
Yeah.
So I can really control this scope completely with my phone.
Very helpful. And
very, very helpful.
And the sound and video.
It's audio and video.
That's right. So Photon RT. And I think, don't quote me folks, these things are, I think $600, $700. So I'm just something like that.
In that ballpark.
This one, I don't know, the Photon XT was about $500. Now, I'm not sure. I know this one has replaced it because so many people now want to video their hunts.
Right.
But I think the XT is still around. But this one, Jeff, I have killed, if I can get this within 1 or 2 hogs with this little setup, and this is a 223 5.56. Now your guys that are going to be hunting at night with digital, this would not do. This setup and your setup, in my opinion, after killing about 25 hogs at night with this, is good. The farthest one was 75 yards.
Right.
So it will kill. I think I've looked at them at 150 yards, but I think 100-yard setup is pretty much perfect for this.
It really is. I mean, I've got a 300 black out here, folks, and suppressed, as you can see. And this little gem, it's the same thing. I mean, I'm not shooting 200 yards. I'm just not going to do that.
Right.
I like the less than 100-yard shot. Quite frankly, I like less than 50.
Most of them I've killed with this have been 50 yards and in.
Right.
And I'll say this: eating corn at a feeder,
Yeah.
or near a feeder at night. Yeah.
And I mean, I know the numbers of hogs that you've shot with this one and actually harvested and brought home is a pretty high number. But Luke's, and me too, we're not taking these 150, 200-yard shots. We're focusing in on that 50-yard shot.
Yep.
You know, a nice boar or sow, whatever, in there, you know, eating corn, not moving too much. You're able to get a good rest aim and make the perfect shot. I know you do a lot of headshots with that.
Right here, Jeff.
Yeah.
Neck, right behind that jaw.
The neck.
That's where up, and if you can, well, the one I killed, actually a couple weeks ago here, it was angling away a little bit, but I hit him. To me, the neck. Now I won't really aim for the brain because it's not.
It's a small target.
But that neck is not, and you got a lot of stuff that'll stop a hog if you hit him in the neck.
Well, you hit him in the neck right there, they will go nowhere. They'll drop like a sack of potatoes.
You'll bleed him out, you know, the jugular or the vertebrae if you hit his neck, you know, his spinal cord. So now you're not going to be doing that on running hogs with a digital scope at night. You're going to be shooting for the hog. Nothing wrong with that. That's just different ways people hunt, Jeff, you know.
Exactly.
I don't knock that. If you want to kill a bunch of them, it's a different deal. But no, digital compared to thermal, Jeff, is thermal is way. I will use the word better with thermal. Even this cover back here, folks, you can see behind me, there's a buggy back here. With thermal, you can see an animal back in there, his heat signature at night.
Luke, let's talk a little bit about the difference. Now, I know one huge difference is cost. Thermal, and Luke just alluded to a minute ago, there's some very positive things about thermal. Thermal's great. There's some really good things, but when it comes to cost, I think that's the one thing that stops a lot of people from going to thermal.
And I've used digital mostly, but thermal I have used, Jeff, and it's cool. It's awesome at night. I mean, you can see the heat signature of an animal that in daylight you couldn't even see.
Right. One of the cool things I think about thermal, and folks, just think about this: when you shoot an animal and it runs off in the woods at night and it's pitch black and you're in there with flashlights trying to find it, having something that's thermal allows you to see anything with a heat signature. So in other words, if that animal is laying 20 or 30 or 40 yards away and you're able to scan, you know, the forest floor with a thermal imaging device.
Good point.
Oh boy, you'll find them.
Good point.
My dad shot that hog last week. Folks, I was within probably 15 or 20 yards of it at night. I spent an hour and a half looking for him.
Yep.
Never found him. The next morning, right back where I was, there he laid. Had I had a thermal imaging device,
one scan he'd have
bang,
popped
I
out
would've had
like
him.
yes.
Exactly.
So Jeff nor I are trying to say digital vision, these Photon XT and RT. Anyway, I'll use the word good as thermal. I mean, they're perfect for what we do. They work great for killing a hog within 100 yards. One hog, one shot, put it right there, you got pork on the ground.
Right. I mean, obviously, folks, you're not going to use a regular scope at night unless you've got lights that light up your animal. But then, as Luke alluded to earlier in the show, you can't see your crosshairs. That's the problem.
That's the problem.
If you can't see your crosshairs, you really can't make an ethical and a good shot.
You know,
so,
Jeff, I'm gonna stay right here. I'm gonna bring a little tool out here that I've got on this hunting buggy, that's very, very helpful.
All righty.
Let's see here. Now this is a monocular, folks.
That's a digital monocular, correct?
Digital, yes. Is this anywhere near as good as thermal? Definitely not. But If you're sitting down and you're watching a corn feeder over there, Jeff, at 75, 50 yards, you put this little, it's still, I don't know, I'm not going to try to quote the prices, but oh gosh, I don't know, $500–600. They go up, and you know, Sight Mark, Photon, that's the one, that's where you want to,
Right.
you know, go check these out. But you pull this up, instead of putting that rifle up and turning your Photon RT
Right.
on and scanning around.
Having to look like this every time you want to try to see something is
You
a
take-
lot,
yeah.
a lot more difficult than that little handheld.
You bet.
No question.
So the keywords on the website is Sight Mark, Pulsar. That's you can go and you can find out. You can even watch YouTube videos that goes into great depth and technical stuff that we're not covering. The bottom line is a monocular is worth its weight in gold, folks. Put it up and say you think you might hear a hog come into a feeder at night. Put it up and just turn it on. There's different levels of IR on these, and as is the scopes, the digital scopes. You can increase the IR. On a moonlight night with a lot of ambient light, I've killed hogs without any IR on this, and I bet you have too.
Literally just turning a dial. Yeah, moonlit nights, full moon. I'll go out there with no IR.
That
and you can
digital
see,
do it.
Oh my gosh, you see everything.
But if it's pitch dark, no ambient light, it has 3 levels of
Yes.
IR. You start with your first one. If that doesn't light him up, you hit about 3. Now, the drawback, there is a drawback if you're hunting with the digital. If you're in thick cover, and say you're in the cover and you're shooting something out in an open field, the IR will reflect back and it'll light you up.
Yes, it will.
Now that's a drawback. So you want to use a digital where you can actually see a line of sight rather than through a bunch of brush, because that IR, it's like taking a flashlight and shining it, you know, a white light and shine it up through the brush. You know, you'll see all that glow, won't you?
Right. When it hits something, it kind of does a reflection off of whatever it's hitting.
Right.
And it kind of gives you almost a little bit of blindness, if you will.
For a guy like me that goes back, and you too, Jeff, to the days when flashlights, what your light source was, that is, as we would say, the cat's me out.
Yeah. You know, again, for what Luke and I are doing, you know, this 50-yard, 75-yard, hunting at a feeder, watching for hogs come in after dark, this is ideal. For the money we put into this stuff,
Yep.
This is absolutely ideal. Not to say that I wouldn't love to have the latest, greatest fancy thermal. It's just, do I have, you know, that kind of money to dish out on it?
And as an old outdoors writer forever, you know, I have a chance to use everything, and the thermal, I've used it, you know, but for me, for what I need, this does the trick.
Right.
It does. So, yep. And I think it. Now I am right now, if my counting is correct, with that little carbine there, that little 5.56. I'm not talking about shooting a hog running at 200 yards, but 50 yards right here. Either 24 or 25 or 27. I think that's right.
That's a good number.
But that's standing still, wait for the shot. Jeff, let me get one more deal here.
Sure.
If you hunt hogs at night, at some point you're going to get tired, or like me, maybe you get a few too many years on you. You want to say, hey, I might be good for another 15 years if I use my head dragging hogs. I built this little dude. This is not rocket science. It's just a ring, and this is air conditioning pipe insulation with a strap. Just a little cord.
Yep. As a matter of fact, the first time Luke brought that over here, I'm like,
What
is that?
You don't.
He says, let me show you. And when he showed me, because he killed a hog, he says, let me show you. And he did what he did, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what a great idea.
Yeah, cut through the back tendon, and just you could tie a new one
He had
on
a
when
hammer on
afraid
each one of those.
and just throw it over your shoulder and go.
I was carrying it out.
So
I'm like,
things like this makes night hunting,
Yes, it does.
especially at night, so much better. It really does. Well, Jeff,
way to do it.
now folks, we are at Jeff's ranch, the Buck and Bass Ranch, down on the upper end of Lake Fork, and Sabine Bottoms. Go back there as far as you want to, farther than you probably want to go. It's pretty wild country. We have already seen hogs, no kidding, during
twice. We've seen two groups of
come
hogs
through
come
a
through.
feeder that's within sight of camp. So Jeff's going to take his 300 blackout. I'm going to take the little 5.56, And you won't see us shooting any running
I'll show
hogs.
you
at
some
200 yards.
night videos. We'll have maybe we'll have some of our own tonight. We'll get a little video
Very
of one on the
possible.
ground.
Yep.
But I'll definitely show you what it looks like looking through this scope and shooting at some hogs. So we'll be right back. Let's gear up and go hunt.
Sounds good, buddy.
All right, we'll be back.
That'll do it. This is just a diminutive little 5.56. They used them in Vietnam. I mean, this is, yeah.
Well, folks, there you have it. We're heading out to the blind to hunt hogs after dark. Well, as you can see, it's not even dark yet. So, unfortunately, you're not going to get to see this one through the night vision scope. But we'll show you some video here in a bit of some night hunts. But we got that on video. It was kind of fun.
It was a nice kind of fun. My old heart. One thing I did not point out, yeah, folks, it is daylight now. It's probably another 45 minutes before dark.
Mm-hmm.
These things work in the daylight too.
Good point. That's
I
a good
didn't point that out. They're a day scope, a night scope. I mean, they're made for night hunting. It was plenty of light. It's daylight, but I didn't have any problem finding him in the. Now I did shut the little. This is a little bitty aperture and a little hole in the end of this, if you will.
Yep.
I shut that, and it, for daytime hunting. So, a good point that we didn't point out, Jeff.
So let me ask, was that a headshot? Did you get him behind the ear?
Right
there?
I think so.
I can tell you something, folks. It didn't go anywhere. So
No,
I tried to. Hopefully, I got all that on video.
He's down right there.
That happened so doggone quick.
That was. Let's see.
Well, folks, the blind is what, 10 steps that way? It's right there.
Yep.
That's where we were going. We were sneaking down here. There's a feeder here, and there's a feeder back here. Well, guess what? There was that one, and there was a couple other ones.
Yeah.
I couldn't. Is that a boar? You think?
I don't know. Probably.
We'll go find
I think
out.
it is. But I know that there again, he was behind. His head was behind a tree, and it gave me plenty of time to set up the monopod and get
me to fire up the camera
and get steady. So I hope this kind of hunting goes on forever, buddy. This is just so much fun, folks. If you've never hunted hogs,
congratulations.
Thank you. Pork on the ground, Jeffster.
We're replacing the fajitas we had tonight.
Exactly.
Right?
True. Well, and it's not hard. We will use the straps, and he'll be an easy recovery. Let's go take a look at this hog.
Let's go take a look. Yeah. Alrighty. They were fast and furious back in here. There's a feeder right. You can see that just beyond Luke there.
Those hogs were just coming in probably to the feeder when we intercepted them. Yeah.
Yeah. We got on them pretty quick. As you can see, night is falling. That's why we were heading out to try to go get a hunt in.
Yep. I was actually aiming. I was aiming right in here somewhere, so it took it. And the angle of the hog, I think,
Yeah,
probably.
No, you know what? It did the job.
That bullet probably went right. It may have
That
even
is a
increased his
perfect
brain.
young boar
Yeah,
right there, buddy.
that's a good. And people don't realize, that's. I can tell that's a fat hog. There's going to be some very good eating. Let me put this thing. It's on safe. Get this out of the picture. Let's see what we got here, Jeff. Yeah, he's a young.
He looks like a young boar.
He's definitely a young boar. Can you see these little cutters?
Let me zoom in on that.
That hog probably. I don't know if you can see the cutters. Real small.
Yeah.
He's probably, he might even only be a year and a half old or something like that. Anyway, gosh. No, you've got the buggy. We can get the buggy right here and retrieve the whole hog.
We'll bring him back.
I'm so accustomed to taking the quarters off back in the woods, Jeff, and packing them out. No, we've got it made here.
Let me ask you, are you ready for seconds on pork fajitas?
I am. We're going to be down here a couple of days. Those back straps may wind up in fajitas.
Yeah, buddy.
Maybe
Good
tomorrow.
stuff. Wow.
Jeff, it's just so much fun. Folks, hunting hogs, it's not all about shooting them at night. I mean, when you can find them shoot them, because trust me, there's going to be some fine meat. And you know, Jeff, I'll make ham out of these hams. Smoked, cured, sugar cured ham. And this one is packing some good hams.
Oh, you darn right he is.
Yeah, it's not an old hog at all.
No.
He's not.
No.
Yep.
That right there, folks, is an eater. That is a perfect eater size right there.
For sure.
You know, you always hear get the little butter balls, the little teeny. No, that right there is a lot of good meat. And
Let me flip. Let me just. I want to see something real quick. Let me flip him over this way.
okay.
Yeah, that shot angled up through there. It probably hit. It could have hit.
The jugular probably.
He didn't even kick, which is kind of rare.
Anywhere.
Yep. Well, I say we get him out of here and turn him into some pork. Jeff, what do you think?
I am all for that.
Okay.
We're going to come back. I am going to show you some night hunting video with the Photon RT. Kind of give you an idea what that all looks like. And we've shot so many hogs with it. I've got some video. We'll load up here and we'll let you see what that all looks like. We were going to try to bring it to you tonight here live, but
Yep.
things happen. This is hunting. So
This is not rehearsed.
Yeah,
and the
you never
thing
know.
about it is, I didn't even mention the fact that same scope works just fine in broad daylight with that little cap put on the front. Yeah. So
there you go.
yeah,
There
I say we get him out of here, Jeffster, and
yeah, we got just a little bit of light, not a whole lot, folks, and hopefully we're being able to see this video.
Yes.
It's starting to get dark.
and then you've got some great footage to show
Yes, sir.
to show it. So let's do that, and
Okay.
it's been a fun hunt and a fun show. I mean,
yeah, it's been fun.
if you've watched Jeff and I, we're not actors. I mean, this is kind of the real deal. I mean, from the cooking to the whole deal.
It's all
but
fun.
it's all fun, and that's what we want to
Hunting,
portray.
fishing, the outdoors. It's just spending time with your friends, and,
That's it.
and then you get treats.
That's
along
right.
the
You
way.
get your snacks.
All right, buddy. Until
All right.
next time, huh?
Yep, you betcha. You bet. Hi, folks. It's your old buddy Luke Clayton, and I'm not really turkey hunting, although I probably look like it with this camo on. MTR Camo, mtrcamo.com. Mr. Royce Carnley came out with this. Now, Royce is a turkey guide down in South Texas and actually does some guiding up in North Texas as well. Very, very experienced turkey hunter. He came out with this pattern. Very comfortable, lightweight, it's cool, but it blends in with the spring woods. Check it out, mtrcamo.com. Now, this is a cooking segment. We're going to talk about making some awesome Canadian bacon. Actually, it's called pea meal bacon, and instead of the milled peas, the ground peas, nowadays you use cornmeal. But we're going to use that. We're going to make some, and actually I've got it all prepared. We're going to take you over and show you how I get it prepped. But Butcher Packer Supply has a little kit, and you can get this pea meal bacon, Canadian bacon, if you don't get it tricked up with bacon that you buy here, or Canadian bacon that tastes more like lunch meat. This is the real deal, the way they make it up in Canada. So let's go over and let me show you how we prep it. I think it's going to be something you're going to enjoy making it. You can make it in 24 hours, so pretty good stuff. Well, folks, here is everything you need to make pea meal bacon, Canadian bacon. I actually caught these this pork loin on sale for less than $2 a pound. And we have a bunch. This is going to make a bunch of Canadian bacon for sure. But the ingredients are mixed up from Butcher Packer Supply. That's where you can get this, in the vat. And I'm going to use the pump right here, the old heavy-duty Morton pump, and we're going to pump these. We're going to load these up with this brine mixture. It's very, very simple. And then we're actually just going to put these pieces of what will become pea meal bacon, Canadian bacon, put them in the brine for 24 hours, and then we're going to roll them in this cornmeal. Actually, the real name of this is pea meal, but you can't get pea meal. Roll it in the cornmeal, and you're talking about some great breakfast food. It's going to be good. So let's get these things loaded up and in the vat. And here, my friends, is the pieces of pork loin, cured overnight and exposed to the cornmeal, rolled in cornmeal. I'm going to slice off a piece of this, and we're going to put it in the old cast iron skillet and fry a little bit up for breakfast. You know, I asked the question, why do you put the cornmeal on here? And the simple answer was, it makes it crunchy on the outside. So let's cook some up and try it out and see what it tastes like. Okay, friends, here is our pea meal Canadian bacon being exposed to some hot cooking oil. I'm going to fry this up, turn it over,
cook it. It's virtually cured but raw meat right here. We're going to cook it till it's really crisp, and then we're going to plate it up and cut a little bit of it up and sample it. I know it's going to be tasty. You can smell that flavor, that pure flavor in the meat right there cooking. So give you a look at it, the finished product here in just a minute. But let's take a close look at this cooking up here. Oh yes. How could that not be tasty, folks? And the finished product, folks. This is some fried up. I just fried about 3 pieces of this pea meal bacon, and I ate, you might see a piece or 2 missing down there. I'll tell you what, I may never eat regular bacon again, and I am not kidding you. This is pork loin, tastes like bacon, but it's just got an awesome flavor. If you want to make some of this stuff, you can crank it out with domestic pork loin in 24 hours. So Butcher Packer Supply is where you can get the kit. Just go to butcher-packer.com, check them out. Make you some of this. You can make it from wild pork, domestic pork. It is absolutely awesome.
Back in 2011, we had an absolutely horrible drought on my place and killed a lot of the cedar trees, if you will, here about 90 miles west of Houston. On my little place, you can see it's right next to a farm to market road, and we've got the background here. But one of the things I wanted to do, thought, well, I got to do something with some of the old logs, and I don't want to all cut them up in timber, and we might be able to do with that with some of them, but not with all of them. So got to thinking about it, and I said, you know what, I need a rifle range. So this is a rifle range in progress, if you will. Cut the logs to a certain length. We've just started placing logs to where we'll end up with a structure right here that will basically be a 3-sided structure, so that there'll be cover behind us on either side, and then the distance we're shooting is down into my pasture where it goes down into a little of a bottom kind of thing, and I can get about 300 yards out of it without any trouble. So what we're doing is just in the final stages here. Now the interesting thing to me is that all these things came off my property. The bench itself is made up of some old lumber that I took out of my dad's dog pens. My dad used to run hounds for years and years, and when he passed away, back in 2010, he had not had dogs for a while, or hounds if you will, and so what we ended up doing is kind of putting them off to the side, and finally decided to kind of take them apart a little bit. And so the lumber that I've used in this and what I'll use in the rest, once I get the rest of the benches set up, you'll be able to see that they came from my dad's old dog pen. So same thing with the nails. Everything about this place, as far as I'm concerned right now, is just reorganizing, reutilizing different things that we had here on the property itself. As you can see from here, I'm going to turn around, let you look at where the bench is right there. The bench and the rifle are set up. That happens to be a 6.5 by 55 Swedish. It is a Model 77 Ruger, and it is one that I'm going to plan on hunting with this year. I'm going to sight it in here, and I'm not sure what all this is going to end up being used for, but I've got a couple of hunts set up that I really want to do, and then of course we'll hunt here some on the property as well too, with a variety of different types of guns. This one's got a Trijicon Huron, if you will, scope on it. It's shooting, let's see, it's Hornady, and it is, there you go, 6.5 by 140 grain SST. So these are going to be the first shots ever fired on this range. And I have shot out here before, but it wasn't with a range. We got a target set up at 100 yards, and we're going to try to see if we can get this thing sighted in. And we'll kind of bring you an update later on too as to how the shooting house continues to develop. So I'm going to set this aside just a second, and then I'm going to come back and I'll be shooting this rifle to see where it goes. Y'all stay with me. As I mentioned, it's 6.5 Swedish, and I'm shooting 140 grain SST Hornadys in it. Gonna do it without shooting glasses this time, but I'll grab them here in just a second. Hearing protection always very important. As you can tell, there's a lot of traffic on this road. You'll pick up road sounds back behind us several times. We're only probably about 100 yards off the road, but the angle that I'm shooting goes back down into my little bottom right here, and there are no houses, so I don't have to worry about anything like that. So set my hat aside for just a second, put on the shooting hearing protection, if you will, and load it up and see where the first shot goes. This will be the first shot ever fired on this shooting range. Ever, because it's brand new, and let's see what we do with it. This here on will crank up a little bit. Okay, fire in the hole. Oops, maybe not. Fire in the hole now. We just had to have safety there. And I think we're just a little bit on the high side. First shot on the range. Thank y'all for joining me. We're going to come back later on and we'll do a little bit more shooting here in the future, and we'll sight in a few rifles and tell a few stories while we're here as well too. Thank you for joining us today on A Sportsman's Life. Appreciate you. Thank you.
And a special thanks to these fine sponsors: Air Force Air Guns, B&B Charcoal, Dallas Safari Club, Hornady, Pyramid Air, Nielsen Specialty Ammo, Sightmark, Smokin' Tex, Snap Block Hunting Blinds, Texas Raised Hunting Products, and Striper Express.